We are live for Rico's Corner. I am here joined with Robert Brazelton. Sorry, could you say your last name for me?
No, you were right. Robert Hardin Brazelton. The Mount. Yeah.
Robert Harden Brazelton. Okay. In my head, I say it right, and then I start to speak it, and then it does not come out right. But I'm gonna do it justice. But today we are talking about building your network, and I am so excited to have him here because he is very, very great at that. And I am really looking forward to getting his feedback on everything. So before we jump into the questions, so we were talking about a little bit, but it seems like you're having a really good morning so far.
Yeah, no, it's good. Every day I wake up is a good day.
Very, very true. Have you ever heard the term "waking up dead"? Is that possible?
I would probably one of my worst fears is being in one of those like locked in comas where like and you're aware but like you can't move. So
Mhm.
that would be that in that case for me. Just wake up like a locked
Waking
in.
up dead. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Sorry, yeah, that's not the topic of tonight, but it just popped in my head. So you get to learn a little bit more about how my brain works. It's just very random sometimes, but we're going to hop into our first question, and that is if you can pick your favorite resources for networking opportunities, which ones would be in your top three?
I think I've definitely started. I'm going to start with my number one, which is free, right? Especially
Mhm.
starting out as a business, whether you started the business or you're thinking about it, any free resource, even if it's not totally in conjunction with your business, is free. So it's a no brainer to try and be in those places where there's either trainings, networking events. Professional services events, anything like that, where it's free for you to come. Obviously, you're probably gonna have to sit through some kind of speech or something like that because it's free. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're in a space where there's other entrepreneurs that are in the same space as you. So even if you can't use the content, you can use the time to be in those same spaces to network with those types of people. And it's not costing you anything other than your time, energy, and some focus, right? So anything that's free, that especially if it's in your category, I think is well worth it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Because as you're starting a business, and even when you're a veteran in your business, you're going to understand that everything you do cost you, right? So
Hmm.
find something
Definitely.
free, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Actually, my number one is tied in with free too, and it's the platform Eventbrite.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
that's actually how I started looking into networking opportunities here in Sacramento. I just went on to Eventbrite and I said, okay, what is free and what is for networking? And like, it wasn't like a terribly long list, but it
Right.
was a pretty good amount. And then you start to see the same companies over and over again. Especially if they do like their monthly networking events, which definitely makes it easy because if you're someone like me where you have like a goal to at least go to one networking event a month, you can literally just go to the same, to ones hosted by the same company, especially if you like, how they organize and the types of people that show up for those, especially if they're in your industry. But yeah, so definitely free and Eventbrite. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And the other pro is, right, because it's free, it's kind of like a risk-free trial period, right?
Mhm.
Most of these organizations that are throwing classes, especially if they're throwing something for free, they have a paid option.
Yeah.
Carry unless
Yeah.
kind of nonprofit, things of that nature. But again, they're linked in with other for profits that do have cost options, right? So, how do I try out these people and see what they're talking about and see if I even believe in what they're saying before I start hawking out money, right?
Mhm.
Goes back to everything cost you, right? You want to make sure that if you are going to spend $1,000 on a course or something that you think is going to help you in your business, you want to know that you're going to get a 10x return, a 5x return. You don't want to just spend $1,000 and then you walk away with things that you could have searched on Google, right? So
Right.
you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, because I have nothing against paid classes. It's But there's a lot of people out there giving paid classes that aren't worth the money you would pay for it. So you
Hmm.
able to kind of do some due diligence, check the people out, see what kind of information they have, see how other people feel about the product. And if free offerings are always a good way to get in there, see the people, shake hands, and see people face to face to really know, like, if I give them $10,000, I should be able to come out with a business that's making me 10 times that amount of money, or processes that can make me that amount of money.
Definitely. You brought up a really good point. So when you were speaking, it made me realize there are actually two different types of networking opportunities that you can go to. It can be one that is for, like you said, like the educational, like let me see what I can learn to be a
Yeah.
better business owner. And then there's the other ones more like that I've been going to more recently is like the more like the social aspect of it. So it's like they're putting together, okay,
Right.
we're everyone's going to meet at this restaurant or this club or whatever for the next couple hours, and then bring your business cards, and be ready to mingle and talk with other professionals, either in your industry or adjacent, or just to just literally just have a conversation, even if it's someone that's not even remotely tied to your industry, because you never know like how those things intermingle with each other down the line. So like there definitely are the two tracks. Is like the let me go learn something, and then let me go meet people,
Right. Yeah.
like literally just meet people and talk
Yeah.
with them.
And there's some events that try to merge them both together, right? You'll have like kind of like
Mhm.
bingo portion, and then there'll be classes or seminars or whatever the case may be, just because they understand that that's both sides of
Yes,
right, or networking events. You want to come and you want to meet people, but you also want to come and get some good information. And a good point on that is know where your price point is, right? If I'm paying $35 to go to an event, we're probably not going to get anything crazy amazing. I'm just
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the value of money, right? Now you may be able to be in the space where there's a whole bunch of people who are in your networking field, and those things may be lucrative, but the type of information you're gonna get at a $35 seminar probably isn't going to be game changing, right? Like,
Definitely, yeah.
so
It-
understand what you're
mm,
paying for, and don't overestimate really, what you look to receive from certain types of events. I don't look to receive crazy over the top information when I'm going to a free event. I'm pretty sure this is going to be some kind of hook, right? uh,
mhm,
that they're going to be giving me just enough to where I can decide if I want to have a longer term relationship with whatever entity is throwing this
yeah.
free, right? So always understand where your pricing is, and then have an idea and a mindset of what you want to get out of that event before you go.
Definitely. That really actually ties into my second platform that I had as a great resource, at least that has been helping me over the course of the last year and a half, and it's Meetup. So one
Yeah.
way that I use Meetup is I host meetup groups, but also I am a meetup member of various different groups. And when I first got onto the platform, I was on, let's say right now really only in like five groups. I was in like no less than like 20, because I was like, oh, let me just join a bunch of groups
Yeah.
and then see which ones I like. And then if I, if it's not meshing well, or if I can't really make, pretty much 90% of their meetings or their events, then I'll go ahead and back out. But, and that really helped me narrow down my focus on being on Meetup, because I didn't want to be on there just to be on there. I always knew, okay, I'm either going to be the host, I'm going to be in a group that's going to be able to help me network for my event planning company. So we're going to get into it in a little bit, but it's just like, what are some of the best ways to utilize these networking opportunities? And my number one way is to be very, very intentional about what it is that you're doing.
Right.
Because if you're just going into it, it's like, oh, I'm just going to spend the next 2 years of my life just like bouncing from group to group, but I really have no end goal in mind. Then I feel like you just at the end of it, you're going to feel like you wasted time. Versus if you go into it knowing, okay, I want to meet so many people in order to network for my upcoming events or my upcoming projects. And then, even if you don't get like to, let's say your goal was to get 10 people, in your inner circle, and you only get to five, that's still five new contacts that you had that you didn't have before. And you met them through an organic channel. So it just, and I totally agree with what you're saying about understanding the value of the information that you're getting. It could be that it's information you already know, but it's nice to know it again. And then versus this is information I did not know that I needed to know it. And those are going to be more like your high end courses that you would be taking.
Right.
But both of those has its place, right? Because sometimes it's nice to have that confirmation of like, oh, I know this. Let me go ahead and stop playing around and actually apply it to what I'm doing. And then on the other side is like, oh, I literally had no idea this existed. Let me go ahead and dig a little bit deeper and then start to apply it.
Yeah, 100%. I've as being in health and life insurance, I've gone to a whole bunch of conferences and networking events, and I've heard people talk about life insurance in 1,000 different ways. And sometimes I'm like, yep, sense, and other times I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about, and I've never heard it said in that way, right?
Yeah.
Or in,
Mhm.
so you sometimes you can get a nugget of knowledge, right, on some information that you already knew, but now you got a little bit deeper of an understanding of it. Sometimes you're going to get something that's totally out of left field and you didn't even know it existed, right? But that's the great thing about networking, and not just networking events, but just networking in general, right? Like
Yeah.
you when I say free, I don't just mean going to free network events. I'm talking about using free platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Meetup,
Mhm.
Clubhouse, whatever is
Yeah.
free, right? There's no real downside to using it other than exactly what you pointed out, which is not being goal driven, right? If you're just going to put your time out and you're just going to just blast everything out and you have no real goal in mind or any results that you're looking for, then you never know if you've reached or done what you've
Yeah.
do, right? So you got
Mhm.
the intention about what you're doing. Even if it's free, you still have to use your time, which is a very valuable resource as well.
Yes.
So you just want to be out willy nilly, just going to anything. You still want to have some goals and some result that you're looking for out of these types of things. But anything that's free is going to be at least a check in the box of it's not costing me money out of my organization, right? Um,
Definitely.
potentially increase my revenue, right? So that's pure profit versus me spending $10 on an ad or spending 35
Mhm.
at or $100 for a networking event. Right now, I have to start looking at how can I generate money off of this because I already have an expense. So anything free to me for an entrepreneur is kind of it's a win-win, right? Even if I don't learn anything at the seminar, I can almost guarantee you if it's a seminar for business, you're going to meet somebody, right? Like
Mhm.
these
Yeah. You're
some
gonna have at least
yeah,
one really good conversation.
exactly. I've never gone to any networking event or out to any kind of networking space where I couldn't connect with one person who was interested in my business or I was interested in theirs,
Mhm.
or just generally good people and we're nice friends to be able to move forward in professional network. So I think it's always worth it.
It definitely is always worth it. So very much in alignment with the intentionality aspect of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What tips would you give other entrepreneurs looking to build their local network?
If you're looking to build a local network, a really, 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 really easy way to do it, and it's something that I hate. I don't want to say I hate it. It's just not my favorite activity. Um, but get some business cards, get some flyers, and honest, just go walk around your local businesses. And I'm not talking about like the Targets and the WalMarts. I'm talking about
Mhm.
the mom and pop gas stations and liquor stores and barbecue joints and restaurants and all that stuff, right? Treat yourself like a business owner, like they're a business owner, right? Hey, this is what I do. I just wanted to promote my product, see if I wanted to if I could leave some stuff in here and have a genuine conversation with them, right? At the end of the day, a lot of business owners don't know a lot of other business owners other than the people that are kind of in their little,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially talking about brick and mortar businesses. But they need so much stuff. If you got a brick and mortar business, you have at least 2 to 3 vendors, right? Which is other small businesses, right? So
Yeah.
you're always talking to small business owners. You're always in that kind of that community, but there's not many people who are just coming in to talk to you outside
Hmm.
something from you, right? I want you to
Yeah.
buy. I want you to, hey, could you try this product? They don't get many, hey, I just wanted to drop in, drop some of my flyers and introduce myself, right?
Yeah.
I don't want anything from you.
Yeah. Not a thing.
And as another
Yeah.
business, it's in Sacramento. It's even better if you're in the local area. Let's say you either live or your business is in that area.
Hmm.
Hey, I live down the street. I come to these stores or whatever the case may be, right? So drop by, introduce yourself, have something about your business because again, they have a brick and mortar business and they wouldn't be open if they didn't have customers, right? So
Right. Yeah.
that's free advertisement in itself. And now if you can honestly patronize these people, right? Go in, support their businesses, that stuff goes a long, 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 long
Definitely does. Yeah.
way. Because as I've said, as a person who's in sales, right, I know these people get bombarded on a daily basis by people who want things from them, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just seeing a friendly face that's coming in and just wanting to introduce themselves, it goes a incredibly long way, and you have no idea what these people need. So
Exactly.
body, no matter what category of business that you find yourself in, right? You have no idea what the needs of these people are. And I can tell you another thing as far as sales, people will buy something from people they like more than they will buy something from an expert, right?
Mhm.
I've seen it a
That
thousand.
likability factor, like it's definitely stronger than you would think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, if I like you, I'll buy whatever you recommend to me, even if I didn't think I needed it, because I like you.
Hmm.
Or even if your price is a little bit higher, I'm going to come to you because I like you. I want to make sure that you're doing good, right? So when you actually are able to kind of build those types of relationships, even if they don't need anything from you right now, hey, a customer comes in and they're talking about blah 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 blah. Again, going back to these mom and pop stores, right? These people know their customers. It's not like they're just coming in dropping some money off and taking their stuff. That's some people, but a lot of their customers, they know their customers. They have conversations. They delve into it. So you're opening yourself up to a whole nother array of possible referrals with people who have people coming to them, right? Versus you
Mhm.
find people. And instead of trying to badger their customers, right, you're just going in and talking to the owner and presenting your product. And not even you may not even have to present your product. Hey, can I just leave some stuff here? That's how you
Mhm.
business cards at a lot of like the mom and pop stores, like a board or something. People come in and do it. It's not totally off the wall, but they don't get it a lot. So it means a lot when, especially if you're a startup or you've been doing business for a while and you're in the community and a lot of people don't know you. Simply going around and passing around that business.
Uh-oh, hold on. We're having
Oh, did I drop? Oh, she dropped. I'm still alive. Am I still alive? We got questions. I made it. What you doing over there? What you want?
All right, sorry about that, folks. There was just some technical difficulties, but we will be back online in just a second. Yeah, I hope you guys are getting all the gems that are being dropped. And also, quick announcement: this live will be posted on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/at Rico Layer Events, and you'll be able to catch all of the live streams there. I'm also going to do another announcement at the end. So Robert is going to be coming back in, and we're going to be continuing the conversation in just a second. Let's see. All right, he's joining now, so it'll just be a few more minutes, and then we're gonna hop right back into our Rico's Corner live stream, all about building your network. So let's go see. All right, and then until he's able to hop back on, I'm going to do a really quick recap of the first question that we went over. And that question was, if you could pick your favorite resources for networking opportunities, which would be in your top three? And one of the things that we both agreed on is that finding local resources such as Meetup, Eventbrite, Facebook, IG events, things like that, where your time is your investment and not just your money. And now that we have Mr. Brazelton back into the room, we are going to continue our tips for entrepreneurs looking to build their local network, and then we'll hop into our last segment, which is called One Word. So we'll spend a few more minutes over our tips, and then we'll go ahead and switch over. So, sorry, you definitely were cut off on what you were saying. You want to just kind of uh, not reverbalize, yeah, reverbalize what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. I believe I was just talking about just being able to utilize any of your avenues, especially if they're free, outside of just free networking events, free platforms, free resources, free software, the whatever you that's out there, where you can get in the same room or the same space or be paired up with other people that are in your industry, business owners, entrepreneurs. It's always going to be a good look. But
Definitely.
results driven, right? Have a purpose behind it. Otherwise, you're just out there willy nilly. As you were before I got back on, time is currency, just like your money. If not more valuable, right? Because you can't get your time back. You mess up on some money, you work hard enough, you could probably get it back. I've never seen
Mhm.
hard enough and get their time back. So
Yeah, and that's why when you start to invest your time, know that it's gonna, like you're literally working towards something, because like you said, you don't get that back. But it's one of the, at least that I found, one of my greatest resources that I have as a startup. Because like, outside of having like a lot of capital to begin with, going to the networking events, going to the networking courses, going to just like business courses, those things are more about time than they are about money. But the more that you invest your time in those things, the more money you'll be able to make down the road. So it's not always that you have to trade off. But it's one of those things where just know, like, if you want to build organically or build a little bit slower because you don't have as much, you're not like someone that has a lot of capital when you begin your business. Those things are very, very important, but they also, you have to factor that into whatever you're doing that week or that month.
yeah, and I always try to frame this in the side of like, once you become an entrepreneur, there are certain things that just may seem foreign to you, but that's just because you've been an employee for so long, right?
Yes.
Like as an employee, you're not used to having to do things that don't have like a guaranteed outcome for you, because regardless of how you perform during that hour, 2 hours, 8 hours you're there, right? They have to pay you that guaranteed wage. So that means two things, right? One, if I work less, I'm still going to get paid the same amount. And if I
Yeah.
work more, I'm still going to get paid the same,
Yes.
right? So it gives you no incentive, one, to be better or to do better or to be more efficient at your job. One,
Mhm.
two, right? You don't understand what it takes to actually have or own a business, which means sometimes you're going to have to invest up front and there's going to be no guaranteed outcome out of that,
Yes.
or belief
That
in
part,
that
right?
is going to
Yeah.
bring back. So it takes a while to like refix the mind to understand that yes, I may not be getting any like monetary gain out of this investment that I'm putting my time in, but down the road, this is going to blossom into something far more greater than what I could have done if I didn't perform these steps.
Yeah, honestly, the employee to business owner mindset shift can literally be its own segment because
Right,
there's so much to dissect there. Because especially like you spent like almost like your entire adult life. Let's say like you've been working for a company for 20 years or even 10 years, and then now like you have a really great idea and you want to become a business owner. You've been an employee for 10 years. So
right,
you literally have to retrain your mind and your mindset and your body and your energy to be now like the leader of the company and not just someone who gets to like clock out at the end of the day and then not think about it ever again.
right,
But and then you can literally just like put things down and then pick it up on Monday if it's a Friday evening. Versus you can't really do that if you own the company and like everything is pretty much relying on you to know the ins and outs of your company. Um, but I'm not going to jump into that today because will go another 30 minutes. But uh, um, yeah, everything you just said and more is or the way to network. But one of the great things about it is like it's not just one surefire way, right? It's like it literally is how you adapt to it. how you move around with it, how you navigate through the seas of networking. Because depending on your industry, depending on your what you want your outcomes to be, that is what is going to be the lead factor for how you set your intentions, right? Because not everyone has the same intention. Not everyone needs to have, to onboard 10 new clients in the next, 2 months. Not everyone needs to meet a sales quota of, a 5% revenue boost, right? So it just depending on what you need, that is how you're going to operate in those networking spaces, whether it be the courses or the actual networking events. So definitely leading with intention is number one, and number one. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Top of mind.
um, what was that?
I said no, it was just top of mind. You're welcome.
Yeah, top of mind because it's number one. um, so we're gonna move on to one word, and we played this last time. And I love bringing this into every session because it's a great way to just summarize one our experience individually and collectively, but also just to be able to summarize the entire our entire talk. So our one word for today is we're using one word to describe how networking has elevated your business opportunities. And I can go first if you want to have some time to think.
Yeah, no,
So
go.
yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say my word, and then I'm just do like a really brief uh, kind of background on like why that is my one word. So my one word to describe my networking opportunities as it relates to elevating my business has been organically. Definitely. Being able to just meet people in spaces where I want to be or I naturally am. And then not really having to worry about like, oh, like, is this person, like minded or potentially like minded? Like, we're literally in the same spaces, sometimes for the same reasons and sometimes for adjacent reasons, right? Depending on the industry that they're in. But yeah, but just organically and just meeting really cool people. um, and sometimes those relationships build go past just professional, and sometimes just having them to stay professional is fine. But being able to meet people in professional settings and then forming personal relationships with them, that is a plus. Is not always that's not the norm. That's more the exception, I would think. But even if it's just professional, like you at least like you building your network is only going to help your clients moving forward, especially as an event planner. Making those professional connections could potentially help a client save a lot of money when it comes to planning their event, because having those connections and being able to have access to either discounts or knowing certain parts of the year. If you book 8 months in advance, there are benefits to this, right? So just knowing people and knowing the right people, I think definitely helps with that organic growth.
Yeah, 100%. Especially if you want it to be organic. Especially
Yeah.
now in day and age where you got a lot of bot followers or people who just follow
Mhm.
really want to be able to build an organic team that really rides with your product, then yeah, you got to kind of be out there face to face selling the story, because that's how organic growth works. 100%.
Definitely.
Um, if I had to have one word, I was kind of tussling between two. One's probably going to be serendipitous, and then the other one was
Ooh.
right, and they kind of go together. And I've always had this thought product process about businesses is, and I treat it like it's another person, right? Every time
Mhm.
I create a business or I'm thinking about a business, I'm thinking about I'm creating a person, right? And networking to me is like going out and introducing that person to other people, right? Like, and you're up, right? Like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
mad nice, they look good, he dresses nice, like, and that's the same thing you're doing for your business, right? Now in the same time, right, people are looking at you because they're going to take the information that you give to them about this person, right,
Mm.
based on who you are, right?
Yeah.
I'm not kept in. I'm not, well, how am I a good judge of who that is and who that isn't?
Yeah, yeah.
So I treat going out and networking in the same way, right? So when I think about it as a person, I'm trying to find a good match, right? So everybody I
Mhm.
meet may not be the greatest match for my business, but at least now they know somebody else. They're not just
True.
by themselves, right? They
Yeah.
got friends. And the more friends you have, the more people who know who you are, the more people who can recommend you, right? And I think I told you about this story where I feel like, and this is the kind of the magnetic part, and it is still serendipitous because you don't plan on these things, right? It's not
Yeah.
like you're going out and you're saying like I'm going to get the $1 million deal on this networking event because you don't know that, right? So
Yeah.
me and my partner, we were going out for we were building our janitorial business. He had gotten the idea of the janitorial business from speaking with a young lady, and her mother had $1 million contracts, couple of really big contracts just doing janitorial work, and cleaning up for construction sites. So like the whole ball got rolling just off of this conversation between this young lady and
Mhm.
I had been wanting to do contracting for a while, but just really didn't have the focus of how I wanted to do it and which way to go. Um, so when we were together, it was great. We got the ball rolling. We signed up to go to a class out in Oakland. The first day we go to the class, it was a good class, good information, but we were really kind of thinking like, man, I don't know if we want to keep driving out to Oakland every week just for this class. It's in the middle of the week. It was on a Wednesday at like 3 o'clock, so it's in the middle of the day. Like
Yeah, I can imagine like that gas bill was not cheap.
right,
Yeah.
right, middle of the day. So I got to take off work. It was kind of inconvenient, but I sat back and I was like, no, man, there's something here for us. If we make a commitment, we got to go. And I know that there's something here for us if we just show up,
Mhm.
be there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so the next week we go, we get there, and we sit down and walks, and this lady walks in. She comes and sits right behind us. Lo and behold, she's the mother of the woman that he was talking to, the young lady that he was
Mhm.
that has all these $1 million contracts. So we sit down, we start chopping it up. Um, we exchange information, and that's been a whole nother contact that we've been able to build, and we're kind of mentoring there. So you never know, because I didn't know who she was. I still to this day I know who she is in my phone, but I don't know her daughter.
Yeah.
Her, there's no way I could
Yep.
have put us in
Mhm.
together. He doesn't even really know her like that. He just recognized her from a picture. So
Yeah.
it was totally serendipitous that we would end up in the same building at the same place, but we're both in the same industry. So why wouldn't we? When I started thinking about it,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's why I kept that's why I always go back to my original free because you never know who's going to show up, as long as it's,
Mhm.
especially if it's in your industry, it's something that deals with your type of business. Show up because you never know who's going to be there, and
Def-
being able to actually have conversations with people who are not talking about what you want to do but doing what you want to do is invaluable because they can give you so many um, legs up over your the people who are exactly where you are, right? Trying to figure out doing what we want to do. They're already doing.
Mhm.
They can give you a couple of those hurdles, and that mentorship and guidance is invaluable. So for me, I always look back on that situation, and I like if we had have decided to not go, right? And what if,
Man, talk about missed opportunity.
and that's the thing that really sticks in my mind is that I would have never known
Mhm.
that. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like maybe because I didn't know her, right? So you never know what you're leaving on the table when you don't show up in that room, right? And
Definitely.
you're not in that room. You never know how big that thing you may be leaving on the table is. Because I would have never known she was in that class if we just didn't show up, or maybe we didn't come that week, right?
Mhm.
So there's so many things that kind of go into just kind of just showing up is 98% of the battle. The rest is kind of just moving around in the background, right? But as long as you show up, there's an opportunity that something great can happen for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're showing up into the room, but you're also primarily you're showing up for yourself.
Right.
And by extension, you're showing up for your business. Because when it comes to networking, either in in a course or in a social setting, you're still your business is going to be able to succeed because you're showing up for yourself. in the best possible light, and then people are going to see that, and then again, like you said, it goes back to that likability factor. They like you, so they support your business.
Yeah, you're the
So
first.
it definitely goes hand in hand. So
Yeah,
um, yeah.
yeah, you're the first for your business. So if
Mhm.
people look at you and they don't have a good impression, they're probably not going to have a great impression of your business, right? So you represent your business. I treat my business like it's a separate person. That way I can think about it as its own entity, but I fully understand that I am the first representation of my business because I'm going to be the first person that talks to them about it, right? At a networking event, outside to the regular public, maybe it's a logo, maybe it's something else that maybe
Yeah,
they do, but at networking events, you are the first representation of your business, right? And
definitely.
if they don't really like you, they it's going to be a hard sell. I've seen one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank.
Mhm.
Love the show, right? And I've seen them leave money on the table, right? Like, hey, nah, I'm out because they just don't like the owner, right? Good business, great business, making money. And they're like, I prefer not to have to deal with you, right?
Yeah, and that sucks too. It's just like 'cause no one else's fault but your own. Because it's like if someone's like, yeah, I like your business idea, but like you suck as a person, you're just like, hopefully that will make you, take a step back and like reevaluate yourself. But like if you're like the type who's like, oh, actually I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm gonna continue to be myself. But then like that continues to happen, and you don't actually take stock in that and like, oh, maybe I do need to do something different,
Yeah,
like, or maybe the person that I am isn't right for the type of spaces that I find myself in. And sometimes it's not about moving changing who you are, it's about changing your space.
being open minded, right?
Yeah.
I don't really. It's I'm I can do networking, but it's really draining for me. It's not something that I find that is always the greatest thing for me. So having my partner, who was a much more outgoing person, loves the attention, loves talking to random people, like it's a great trade off, right? And you as a business owner needs to understand what are your core competencies,
Yeah.
what do you truly enjoy, and then what's taxing for you, what pulls a lot of energy from.
Definitely. Yeah.
Find somebody who that gives them energy, you're going to get a much better return out of the time that you're spending in that activity because they like it versus you know what I'm saying, who's you're
Yeah.
basically like pulling teeth, right? So you got to be self-aware and don't beat yourself up for the things that you're not good at. Find a good team, right, that can help you in the places that you may not be great at. That doesn't mean you can't never work on it because you got to be able to talk to people and
Hmm.
know what I'm saying, in almost all spectrums. But at the same time, identifying those weaknesses and doing something about it, right? Not just, oh well, I can't talk to people and I'm nervous around other people, so I just don't go to net.
Hmm.
Well, it's necessary for your business to grow, so you need to do something about it, right? Find somebody who else who can tell that story. Maybe you're not a storyteller, maybe you're not a person who likes to talk to people. Great, right? Maybe that's going to be an expense your business is going to have to incur, but you're going to have
Definitely.
that decision, and you can't make that decision if you just stand in the space of denial where it's like, well, it doesn't matter. It does.
It very much does. uh, So I definitely want to thank you. I think we went over a little bit of time, but considering our little mind connection faux pas, I want to thank you so much for your time and drop in so many great gems for myself and anyone watching this live stream right now, or that's going to watch the replay. Definitely, if anyone's going to be watching the replay, drop the gems that like you're going to be able to use in your daily life, right? Because that's really what this is about, is to be able to help someone that might be in a position to benefit from these conversations. But before we hop off, I want to give you the floor to let the people know how they can support you, and also where they can find you online to follow you and see what you're doing.
For sure. Right now, I think we have that going across the banner at the bottom. You can find me that my general page at dope the number 4 LYFE dope for life. You can find me there. You can also our business page is Brazelton Business Group. That's BRAZELTON Business Group. That's both on Instagram and Facebook. And then I also support and help out my wife's business, Butterfly Sweets. That's Butterfly Sweets with two S's at the end. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram. She does like amazing chocolate confections, things of that nature. Whatever you want dipped in chocolate, she got it. And beyond that, I'm really just working on finishing out our first property and looking to see where we can expand that, and then working with my partner on our janitorial business. You could check that out at Proper Perfect Purified. That's on Facebook and Instagram as well. And then you can check us out at properperfectpurified.com if you want to find out more information about that. But something that I do have coming up in the works is going to be trying to do something with the government contract and to help other people get into that, because it's a wide open space. I think it's something that everybody who's in business, especially if you are black, a woman, any kind of minority, that you should be taking advantage of. Is earmarked money that's for you, and it's just sitting on the table, right? And all you got to do is fill out a couple of pieces of paper, and you're going to be able to have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, depending upon how much work you want to put in. I'm not saying it's
Mhm.
free, right? But
Mhm.
all you got to do it. You can't get access to this money unless you qualify underneath certain kind of certifications. But the certifications aren't hard to get, right? So once you have it, now I have all this earmarked money that I have access to. I kind of think of it the same way as I thought about my life insurance license, right?
Mhm.
People want life insurance, or people want health insurance, or people want car insurance, right? The only difference between me and the guy who can sell it is he went and took a test.
Yeah. Yeah.
Access to all of this money of people who need to buy this stuff. So I thought of it kind of in the same way with government contracting. There's all this money that's sitting out here. The only thing that unlocks it is me filling out some paperwork, right? To
Mhm.
know that I am who I am. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. And it goes back to that time equity that we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier. Yeah. Put in the time, and sometimes it's not a guarantee that you're going to, get the money, but
right.
you know, it's one of those things where it's like, what if you did though? And especially if it's something that is within your realm, to be able to obtain, why not? Spend that time to get those resources that you might have not otherwise been able to achieve, right? So, but yeah. So thank you for letting the people know how they can connect with you. I'm definitely going to be checking out your wife's page because I love chocolate, and anything dipped in chocolate. So that is right up my alley. uh, but for myself,
And from a
um,
non-sweets eater, it's delicious.
yeah, yeah.
I don't even, I will pass. I don't eat cake. I'll be like, no, birthday party. I don't need any cake. Like, I don't want to waste my time on bad sweets. Like, if it's gonna
Yeah.
get calories, I want it to be delicious. So, like,
Oh yeah, it definitely better. It definitely has to count. Like
I don't
it has to be
want snacks.
great. Yeah.
No mid-level snacks, but only.
Yeah. But I am Rico. You can catch me on IG and Facebook, and also now YouTube at Rico Layer Events, on all three platforms. Let's see what I have coming up. So I have our next live for Rico's Corner slotted for next month on the 6th. So that's going to be April 6th. And then let's see what else I got going on. Oh, so I have my holiday trivia live streams that I started doing. So my next live stream is going to be for Easter, and we're going to be live on April 9th at 4 o'clock. And you can get tickets for that at ricolayer.eventbrite.com. I love Eventbrite, it's amazing. So that's where you can catch that. And then also my regular game nights where we do trivia and we also play Jackbox TV games. That is going to be on April 8th. So literally a back to back. So I have my game night and then I have my holiday trip that's going to be live streamed. And yeah, so if you're interested in either one of those or know anyone that's interested, definitely just go ahead and send them or yourself to ricolayer.eventbrite.com. Grab those tickets. They're $10, but you can play with anybody in the house. So it's a great value, and it's a great time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to end this session. It's been great to be able to present this to whoever is watching live and that's going to be watching the replay. Like I said, we're going to be back here next month, so definitely look out for those announcements. And until next time, I hope everyone has a very productive day. And bye.